man, I'm exhausted. It's been a long and hard week. Trying to balance working 6 days, 10 hours a day, driving back and from work, going to the gym, filming these workouts, preparing my meals, finding time for self-improvement, breath work, meditation, all that stuff. It's not easy, but it's very doable if you structure things properly. And I'll be honest with you, I'm still figuring out the structure. It's all been a bit chaotic, but we're getting there. And the more challenge I overcome, the more valuable I'll become for you. But speaking of overcoming challenge, man, what better way to end a hard week than making it even harder by doing some masochistic, painful mindset exercises. But as you can tell, I'm on the Stairmaster and I have 50 kilos in my backpack. Why am I doing this? Well, very simply put, because it's freaking disgusting. Every single time I'm about to do one of these sessions, I feel horrific beforehand. I'm scared, my heart's pounding, I know the pain I'm about to go through, and I really don't want to do it. But every single time I'm done, I feel victorious. Because truly, there is no better way to push the limits of your mindset than with intense cardio. I've said it before and I'll keep saying it until the day I die. Lifting weights is freaking easy. Doing a set of 6 to 10, 8 to 12, and going to muscular failure, it's a piece of piss. It's an absolute joke. Yeah, it's hard in the moment. The set might hurt your muscles. You might, push hard in the last few reps. But ultimately, it's just 30, 40 seconds, the last few of which are slightly painful, and then it's over. But man, this type of cardio, it gets painful rather quickly, but there's no muscular failure to stop you. The only thing that can stop you is your mind determining that I've had enough, I can't do it anymore. And that's exactly why I do this, so that I can chisel my mind into being capable of going through severe pain and reaching my end destination. And in this case, I set myself the target of 50 kilos for 12 minutes. And once those 12 minutes are up, I'm absolutely cooked, but I'm very grateful for my experience. I'm immediately in an elevated state. And I would highly recommend this exercise to anyone who wants to kill the soft little bitch inside of them. I opened by eating the frog. Rather than doing my workout and then doing my cardio, I decided to open with the hardest thing first, so that the rest of the workout seemed easy by comparison. And it sort of worked, because this is the day where I sort of concoct and compress all of my lighter isolation work all into one day, and it is easy. It is light, but to be honest with you, after doing that, it feels harder. But when you compare the intensity, it feels easy. It's very hard to explain how it can feel more difficult but also easy at the same time. But hey, I need to become more coherent and articulate, so let's try. It feels easy, relatively speaking, when you compare the two, but it feels harder because I'm already pre-exhausted. I hope that makes sense. But even so, it's no excuse to lower the intensity, which, as you can see, I'm still going absolutely ham. I finished with my set of sit-ups with the weight on my back, then I put the weight on my front, and then I dropped the weight entirely just to do a drop set with just my body weight. And man, my abs are absolutely on fire. And of course, I trained upper body yesterday. So if you haven't worked it out by now, today is lower body day. So here we have the hamstring curl. And you haven't seen me do it yet because I was supposed to do it on the same day I did 20 rep squats. But I was absolutely fried on that day. The fatigue had caught up and I decided to cut the workout short. Like a little puss. Or like someone who actually wants to listen to his body for a change instead of just trying to brute force his way through hard training. But there's not that much to say. This is just an amazing exercise for isolating the hamstrings. Yeah, you can do your good mornings and Romanian deadlifts, and they are going to work the hamstring to some extent, but honestly, you're going to have very underdeveloped hamstrings if you don't isolate them with some form of a curl. And in case I didn't make it clear, those abs and hamstring curls were a superset, which I did 2 lots of. And I actually did record 2 lots of footage, but quite frankly, I'm running out of things to say because I'm just absolutely knackered. So let's move on to the next superset, which is beginning with the calves. And I chose to gather a more cinematic angle just so you could see what's happening with my feet. I don't know why I did it looking back on it. It looks really weird, but I think it was to demonstrate the range of motion that I use for my calves. I believe with this exercise, it's really good to do lengthened partials, meaning that the bottom half of the range of motion is far more important. My calves are basically under a constant stretch throughout the entire exercise, and it feels absolutely ridiculous. And you probably saw at the start that I like to hang out in the bottom for a bit. I don't rush my reps in terms of, trying to get as many as possible pumped out until the end of my set, in which case I do start bouncing around a little bit. But I do really like to just hang out in that bottom position and let my calves lengthen. And obviously, because we use our calves every day for walking around, they can take a real beating. So I drop the weight and do a drop set. And then I do round 2 for my next set, which I'm not going to show. But here we have the next exercise of the superset. Would you have guessed it? It's my neck. And I'm using only 10 kilos this time. I don't know if you've noticed, but the weights on my neck have been getting progressively lighter as the week goes on, which I think is a very good way to do things, because I'm getting volume in every rep range imaginable. Obviously, I'm not doing a freaking 1 rep max with my neck, because quite frankly, I enjoy living. But this allows me to just pump it out, get a lot of reps in, and get an engorged and juicy pump. Plus, what easier superset is there than neck and calves? Seriously. And it's actually kind of cool when you think about it, because it's the muscles I can work at the very top of my body and at the very bottom of my body, all in synergy. And so obviously we have to finish off the neck by balancing it out on both sides. Let me just say that I used to do only the neck curls without doing these neck extensions to complement it. And things started getting a bit funky, let me just say that. Your body likes balance. It wants harmony. It doesn't like overdeveloped muscles very much. And speaking of overdeveloped muscles, my back's looking kind of juicy there, isn't it? And speaking of juicy back, there's another piece of footage that, once again, I've experimented with. And I think it's a failed experiment because it looks really odd. And it's the last superset of the day, which is the Russian twist. And this exercise is obviously very dear to my heart, потому что я русский, и мне очень нравится за Родиной мчаться. And if you didn't understand that, don't worry about it. You don't need to know what it means. All you need to know is that this is quite effective for the obliques. And no, developing your obliques isn't going to make your waist blocky and chunky. That's ridiculous. Look at how the obliques are actually shaped. Once again, a very questionable angle for this next piece of footage in which I'm doing the hip abductions. And I don't want to shill this exercise too much, but it's absolutely incredible. I've never been to a gym where they've had this variation where you can hold onto the handles and actually sink into it as though you're doing a squat. And let me tell you, once again, this has fixed my squat form unlike anything else. Here we have my next set of Russian twists, which I decided to keep in because old Harry the geezer, he comes along and he gives me a piece of advice. He tells me, let me save you some time and, let me make life easier for you. And then he shows me this other oblique exercise, which I have done before, but for some reason I haven't been doing it. And here we are, we're just having a little chat back and forth, and he's sold me on the idea, let's be honest. I'm convinced, and so for my next set, instead of doing another lot of Russian twists, I do just some side bends. And I got a bit overzealous. I picked up a dumbbell because I thought I could do it with weights, but to be honest with you, looking at my form, I think I can master body weight a lot better first. And let me tell you, holy moly, these feel incredible. These absolutely cooked my obliques. And the Russian twist is effective, but this just feels like it's, stretching and squeezing the muscle a lot more directly. But here we have the very last set of the week. We finish off with some booty blasting because, quite frankly, I want some cake. I think a man with a bunda doesn't look feminine at all. He looks powerful like a gorilla. Because when you look at the way the male versus female bottom is shaped, it's not the same. And man, what a piece of wisdom to end the week on. Thank you so much for tuning in, and I'll see you soon, my brother.